RPM planning is a way to maximize the results of your life and maximize your sense of fulfillment and joy. It's both. In order to do that, we got to change what we focus on from the question of what do I have to do to what's my outcome? What do I want? What's most important to me? What's the result I'm committed to getting? That one change will change completely how you respond in your life, because it'll change you from focusing where everyone's demanding your attention or what you're afraid of or what might give you pleasure in the moment to what's most important to you. And those, by the way, are the three things that get our focus. If we don't discipline ourselves, what gets our focus? Something we're afraid of, something will give us pain. What's the second thing that gets our focus if we don't pay attention? Something will give us pleasure. It's like, you know what, I'm so stressed out. Oh, that chocolate's looking good. Oh, I'm gonna go over to have my little coffee, my smoke a mocha doka, cream this thing and that thing, and I'm gonna escape for a few moments. Because the focus is how to feel good. How to not feel bad, how to feel good. What's the third thing gets your focus? Other people's demands. It's not necessarily there are more demands, it's just that we're accessible to more demands. And if you don't know what you want, and you don't know why it's a must for you to achieve it, and you don't have a plan, I can promise you something. You're gonna fit in everybody else's plan. And you're gonna wonder why you're stressed. And you're gonna wonder why I'm not fulfilled. What is time? How do you know when it's a long time? Or how do you know when it's a short time? It's not because it's 10 minutes or 10 hours. How many have been in 10 hours and time flew because you loved what you're doing, didn't have any sense of time whatsoever? How many have had that experience? Say aye. How many have had 10 minutes feel like 10 years you want to kill somebody to get out of the situation? So what is time? Time is emotion. Gotta remember that time is emotion. What you're really managing is emotion. Another word for that would be meaning or fulfillment. Focus is power, but you gotta take it. Take it back. Take back that power. And you gotta know when you do have that focus, how to chunk it, how to group it so you're not overwhelmed. Let me show you how to make it simpler. When mass information's coming at you, you get overwhelmed. Most of us are great deletion creatures. We delete most of life. Right now, there are millions of things around you could be focusing on, thinking about, giving meanings to, making decisions about what to do. Millions. And when you think about what it's gonna take to do something, usually it takes a lot and you're not gonna wanna do it. Do I'll do it when? Later. As my Australian friends would say, later. Right? And of course, the problem with doing it tomorrow is when you get to tomorrow, tomorrow is today, and tomorrow never comes. So, and you keep promising yourself. By the way, what does this do to you emotionally when you keep breaking your own promises with yourself? Or you keep failing to do things that you know are important? Does it increase your level of certainty and confidence? No. What it does is it erodes it. And when you erode confidence in one area, believe it or not, it affects the other areas too. Do you believe me on that? Don't believe me. What about your own life experience? Maybe not one area, but it starts to be multiple areas, it sure does. Another reason why somebody doesn't exercise or do anything is because they don't just chunk it too big, they chunk it in too many details. So remember this. Change is never a matter of ability, it's always a matter of motivation. I'll say that again. Change is never a matter of ability, it's always a matter of motivation or drive, having strong enough reasons. If you got a strong enough reason, you could figure out the time, couldn't you? So the biggest part of life and time management is knowing what you want and having enough reasons to follow through. But there is one more piece. If you make enough reasons to follow through and you know what you want, but you make the task overwhelming, you'll be overwhelmed. What you focus on, you feel. What you feel, you are moved to somehow actuate. But if you only focus on what you don't want, or what's stressful in your life, what you can't control, or what you screwed up on, or what you messed up on in the past, you're not gonna get where you wanna be. Chunking is power. You don't wanna over chunk where you're trying to bite the whole darn thing together. You also don't wanna under chunk where you make a million pieces of something. What is chunking? It's taking all that's coming at you and putting it into idealized size groups that your mind can handle. See, science has proven the human brain, consciously, we can only handle what they call 7 plus or minus 2 chunks of information. It's the term that they describe in science, that human beings can only handle 7 plus or minus 2 chunks of information at one time.
Have you ever found yourself on the verge of losing your cool and about to let all hell loose? This has got me wondering if highly successful people are wired differently. If they are not, how come they can manage so many people and remain productive? Before we explore some of the secrets to how highly successful people master and control their emotions to achieve their goals, kindly like this video and subscribe to our channel. Today, I'd like to tell you a story about two close friends who do everything together but behave and respond to life differently. Meet Tom and Jane, two close friends from college. Tom is the time bomb who easily explodes with any slight mishap in his life. He starts drinking after failing tests and breaks up with friends if he experiences any setbacks. Any twist of events in his life drives him into rage, aggravation, worry, and yelling. Everything around him impacts him. The traffic, the long lines, even the obnoxious college guys. What happens around him directly impacts his mood and happiness daily. Jane, on the other hand, is unfazed by little irritations. She chooses how she wants to feel, and she is consistently happier than Tom. Even when Tom is on one of his emotional rampages, she's never upset and she never complains. What is the distinction between these two friends? We might assume that the choices they make are their distinctive features, or perhaps they are just biologically wired differently, hence the difference in their emotional states. Highly successful people understand that the mind is the faculty in charge of all thoughts and feelings. It is the hub for all decision-making. Therefore, they've mastered how to control their minds and emotions, which influences their general expressions, how they speak to others, how they react to things, their behavior, and their general attitude towards life. In Earl Nightingale's words, whatever we plant in our subconscious mind and nourish with repetition and emotion will one day become a reality. In today's video, we will be learning the simple hacks of highly successful people on how to control our emotions. Although emotional control is mostly an issue of personal preference, luckily, I have a few first-hand tips that had worked for Tom to share with you today. Please like and share this video with your friends. Changing your behavior can be quite challenging, but changing your emotion is even more difficult. Even though much has been said about emotions and how to deal with them effectively, many people still struggle with this element in their lives. This is because building an effective emotional management skill or habit is similar to learning a totally new skill. Hence, this transformation is one of the hardest things people can embrace. Being able to control your emotions will be one of the most valuable skills you can gain in your life because your emotions influence your actions, which determines the quality of life you live. Some stressful situations result from suppressed emotions, so concealing or avoiding your feelings may do more harm than good. As a result, your emotions may end up backfiring. Let's look at what you can do to change the situation and keep things simple. Number 1. Awareness and mindfulness. How do you control your emotions if you're not conscious of being overly sensitive or reacting inappropriately? Start keeping note of your emotions and give them names. It's sometimes hard to put our grip on exactly how we're feeling. Giving it a name provides clarity, which is necessary for advancement. Meditation is an excellent way to develop unconditional positive regard awareness, and it's a lot easier than you might think. Paying enough attention to how your body and mind feel for 5 to 10 minutes each day may lead to a better understanding of your emotional patterns. This strategy helped the explosive Tom, as we used to call him, deal with his emotions in his daily life. Pay close attention to any feelings that arise during mindfulness and how your gut tells you to react. The following are some questions to ask yourself. What kind of emotions do I have, and how often do they happen? How does my body react when they appear? What's the first thing that comes to my mind? Am I under the influence of these emotions? Do I make any judgments when my emotions are heightened? Is that an appropriate response? Is there a better way to respond to this? Emotions have an uncanny ability to creep up on you. You're fine 1 minute, and the next, things start to go wrong. When you feel things are taking a different turn, slow down and talk with yourself. Highly successful people mostly see themselves as their greatest competitor. They constantly strive to improve themselves to be better than they were yesterday, a month ago, or even a year ago. Always ask yourself if you're doing better than who you were a few days back. Analyze what you can take away from experience and how you might better prepare for similar circumstances in the future. Number 2. Figure out why you're feeling the way you do. You'll want to figure out why you're feeling the way you do after you've acknowledged how you're feeling. What is it that is causing you to feel this way? Of course, there could be 1,000 reasons, so the only approach to figuring things out is to ask yourself, what is really wrong? As if you were talking to a friend. What is it that makes me feel this way? Your mind is always looking for a way to solve a problem. Usually, your perspective on a situation would trigger a certain response, but there are a lot of emotional triggers out there, and depending on the individual, it could be anything from not respecting your opinions or values to stress, the environment, or a particular memory. Be mindful about it and ensure to write them down, just like Tom did. Number 3. After that, ask yourself, What is the solution? What can you do to reclaim control once you've worked out your why? You'll need to adjust your mind to the situation. Your thoughts and feelings will influence how you'll react to a situation. But if you are calm enough to understand the various viewpoints to a situation, your emotions will have little to no influence on your judgments. What you focus on expands. Knowing why you're feeling a certain way at a certain time can help you relax because knowledge always leads to relaxation. Emotions have a way of lingering or leaving residual effects on the mind. It is wise to expel them instead of keeping them repressed. Suppressed feelings of despair or rage can drain your mental energy, which may drive a wedge between your relationships with people. So if something bothers you, let others know by discussing it. Consider putting down your deep emotions in a notebook if you're having trouble expressing yourself. Another strategy to discover a solution is to maintain healthy relationships. By confiding in a trustworthy friend or loved one, you may also use good connections to control your emotions, which is why venting to a friend usually makes you feel better. Remember Tom and Jane? They had this sort of relationship. Interpersonal communication can aid in the relaxation of your thoughts and the control of your physiological reaction to emotions. You don't want to isolate yourself from the people you used to care about because you can't see them as much as you used to. Number 4, decide how you want to respond. This is the most challenging aspect. Emotions will instinctively occur faster than you can control how you feel in a particular situation. The trick is to decide how you react to those feelings flowing from your emotional mind by focusing on your thoughts. Listening to your emotions, recognizing, comprehending, and then selecting them isn't something that you do twice a week at lunch. No, you can only start to grow this important skill by putting in constant effort and attention until they become second nature. You need to pause before you flare up, take a walk, channel that rage, pain, anger, or any other emotion you may be feeling into something productive, maybe exercising. Once you calm yourself enough and decided on what to do, you can then move forward. Number 5, reappraise instead of concealing or suppressing. Reappraisal and suppression are two of the most investigated emotional regulating tactics. When you attempt to prevent yourself from feeling emotions, this is known as suppression. Reappraisal entails reevaluating the whole situation instead of acting outright. Practicing reappraisal regularly with tiny scenarios is incredibly helpful. It minimizes your possibility of yelling at someone the next time similar event occur. By averting unpleasant emotional confrontations, having a good connection with your emotions is more likely to make challenging times bearable. When you totally suppress your emotions, you'll be preventing yourself from expressing or experiencing the feelings that makes you human. If this happens unconsciously, it is known as repression. And if you do it consciously, it is called suppression. Sometimes negative emotions resurface stronger than they were before being suppressed or repressed. What is even more certain is that they can cause both physical and mental health issues, such as sleeping issues, anxiety, muscle tension and pain, depression, and make it difficult to manage stress. It isn't simple to properly manage your emotions, which is why so many individuals give up rather than just make an effort and remain committed. Conversely, if you learn to handle your impulses, your views will transform into dimensions you never anticipated. You will not only feel more confident and in control of what happens in your life, but you will also be healthier, happier, and free from emotional stress. If you've been having difficulties controlling your emotions, remember that it's completely natural to not feel like yourself sometimes. While we wait for the universe to remain stable, take time to care for your psychological health. Using these strategies I share can help you control your emotions, relax, feel good, and be healthy. You can leave your thoughts below in the comment section and mention other topics you would like us to discuss. By the way, Tom is doing very fine today. Like every other successful person, he manages his own business and lives happily with his wife and kids. Please like and share this video. Hit the subscribe button and see you in the next video.